Welcome back to Crypto Meets AI. Jerry here with an update for you. Do me a favor, friends. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and comment down below. Now let's get into it. The XRP ETF era has arrived. The floodgates are about to open, and here's a full XRP ETF launch and fee calendar. November 13th, Canary Funds, 0.5%. November 14th to the 18th, Franklin Templeton. November 19th through the 20th, Bitwise Invest, 0.34%. November 20th through the 22nd, 21 shares and coin shares. Late November, Grayscale, 0.35%, and Wisdom Tree. That lineup represents over $1.5 trillion in assets under management, getting direct exposure to XRP within weeks. The lowest fee in the pack is Bitwise Invest at 0.34%, a direct signal that institutional competition for XRP liquidity has officially begun. This is the moment everything changes. XRP is not a speculative asset anymore. It's becoming a regulated institutional grade instrument traded on Wall Street. I came across this Jake Klaver video, and it's really important. I thought I should share it with you guys, and it's why you should get a digital asset LLC before any significant price appreciation of your crypto portfolio, or before you move it off of a cold storage wallet and try to take profits.
I'll give you all the reasons that you might want to do it before. You're going to season in your bank account. When you take profits, if you're going to take those into your personal name and it's seven figures and you've never had more than 10 grand or 20 grand in your bank account, probably going to freeze that, especially if it came from a crypto exchange. If it goes to a seasoned in business account, it'll be just fine. If you're taking it to your personal bank account and you haven't had a conversation with the bank and it's coming from Coinbase, they're flagging that. They're going to freeze it. I know, believe me. They might even debank you and keep some money or wait a long time to pay you. And that's even on the other side of price appreciation. I know a lot of people are like, oh, the banks are behind us. They are not. The banks are there for themselves. And until they can make the money on the stuff, they're not on your side. I met with another previous executive at Citi at dinner in New York. And she's like, 12 months would be aggressive for the banks to have anything close to what you guys are doing. It's probably closer to like 18 or 24 months before they're offering anything close to what we're doing to Digital World Partners. Again, bank account and an LLC, you're going to be way better off. In addition to that, mitigating taxes. If you're going to take profits, you want to do it inside of the LLC or in a trust or some type of entity. And you're going to want to set that up beforehand, because otherwise you got to file it. You got to wait till you get your stuff back. You're going to have to do the operating agreement. It's going to be on a cold wallet. Might have $50 or $100 million on a cold wallet. That's a lot of money to just have on a USB drive and like carry around with you. I don't know. Some people are cool with it. You also might want to set up life insurance. There's a lot of reasons that you would want to be proactive and do this now. You also don't want to be rushing or make emotional decisions on the other side of price appreciation, because that's when you make mistakes.
I had just seen that video and it got me really thinking, because he is kind of right. If you have crypto on like a Ledger or a Descent wallet or a Tangem, it goes up to some crazy numbers like most of us believe it will. Yeah, that's kind of scary to have it sitting on, actually on a Ledger, like you said. That's pretty scary to think about, having $100-200 million sitting on a Ledger. Who knows what could happen, actually. Maybe self-custody isn't all it's cracked up to be. And I've been a firm believer in self-custody, and it's starting to make me really think. You know, a lot of people are asking, why would anyone buy a Grayscale XRP trust when they could just hold XRP in their own wallet or use Coinbase Custody? Here's the simple answer. Grayscale XRP Trust isn't made for everyday investors. It's designed for institutions, funds, wealth managers, and family offices that need to show regulators and auditors and insurance firms that they're playing by the book. Most big investors can't legally self-custody crypto. Their fund rules and compliance frameworks require assets to be held through regulated vehicles with audits, third-party custodians, and clear reporting lines. That's exactly what the XRP Trust does. Each share represents ownership of real XRP that's stored with Coinbase Custody Trust Company, which is a New York State regulated trust company with cold storage insurance and SOC 1 and 2 certifications. Grayscale then handles the rest: valuations, GAAP, IFRS accounting, independent audits, and investor reports. So instead of owning XRP, institutions just hold trust shares on their books like any other security. It's the same logic as buying a gold ETF instead of physically storing gold bars. You're buying exposure, not the metal. And with XRP ETFs now starting to appear, this trust model is the stepping stone. Private fund stage that comes before public ETFs hits the exchanges. It's the same evolution Bitcoin went through. Private trust, OTC product, ETF. Retail investors want control. Institutions want compliance, insurance, and clean audits. Different needs, different structures. So while self-custody is cheaper and faster, the Grayscale XRP Trust and future XRP ETFs are how traditional capital gains exposure inside the regulated financial system. It's not about being smarter. It's about being compliant and auditable, and that's what Wall Street actually cares about. Disclosure: ChatGPT helped with this post. Next up, Mike McGlone shares a different perspective on the crypto market, believing that Bitcoin is in a risky position. It's very highly correlated to the stock market. Let's hear what he has to say.
Weighing away from and kind of countering the authorities, U.S. government thing. Now, one of the biggest beneficiaries, if you're buying cryptos and cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, is not only the Trump family, Trump administration officials, but you're also dependent on the Trump administration for these things to continue to appreciate. And a lot of them are just, tokens that track nothing. And to me, that's the risk now, is the big insiders are getting out. 100,000 is a very key support. Now we reached that level. That's great. It's supposed to bounce from that level. But what it does from here is very significant. If the market continues to tickle down below 100,000, those are dominoes potentially falling, because it's very highly correlated to the stock market. Now it's almost the same trade, because a lot of that money has been coming from ETFs. That pile-on is coming from people who traditionally have been more involved in the NASDAQ and S&P 500.
Right. It's a risky asset that trades in tandem with equities rather than treasuries, even though a lot of people talk about it as this safe haven. So what's interesting, of course, is that on October 10th, there was this crypto liquidation event. A lot of people in the industry talk about that as a turning point. What happened on October 10th, Mike, from where you sit, that kind of helps us understand the struggles that Bitcoin and the rest of the altcoins are going through right now?
The bond gods started to tick in to remind crypto persons about the lessons of tempting the market gods. So not so much the bond gods, the market gods. So on that day, the S&P 500 dropped 3%. Not a big deal. Stuff that used to happen. Then the crypto market plunged that weekend. And since then, Bitcoin has dropped down to almost 10% in the year. It was up around 20% in the year. The Bloomberg Galaxy Crypto Index was up 30% for a while. Now it's down 7% in the year. So I think what's happening is all that speculative hubris and excessive bullishness is just now ticking down, and it's towards the end of the year. This is not really a time to buy dips when S&P 500 volatility is running at very complacent levels, the most complacent in 5 years. So I think what's happening is we're finally hitting those sell stops in the exuberant buyers of cryptocurrencies, and my fear is it's going to be more of them to the end of the year. The bottom line for crypto people, I think they're understanding now, is they're not buying treasuries, they're not buying something uncorrelated. They absolutely need the stock market to go up just for buoyancy. And what I see is divergent weakness in cryptos, like I mentioned.
The difference between what he's talking about are utility tokens. Bitcoin is just speculative, a so-called store of value. The only way Bitcoin goes up is if someone comes after you and buys it for a higher price. That's the only way Bitcoin will go up. XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, IOTA, Quant, all these utility tokens that are ISO aligned will rise when the institutional demand requires it. It's not going to matter what the stock market's doing. It's not going to matter any of that. In order to transfer value like these cryptocurrencies will be doing, the market cap cannot be low. Here's a really good post that talks about how stablecoins and XRP are completely different and how stablecoins are reliant upon XRP and not the other way around. USDC represents dollars. XRP represents neutral liquidity. One is engineered to hold value still. The other is engineered to move value across systems. USDC can only scale as far as the US dollar itself. XRP can scale across every currency, every chain, every asset, every liquidity pool, because it doesn't rely on a peg. It relies on global demand for settlement. Regulated stablecoins like USDC, RLUSD, and USAT will dominate digital dollars, but they all require that same bridge. None of them solve FX friction, cross-chain settlement, or institutional liquidity. All they do is digitalize fiat. XRP solves everything they don't. It eliminates pre-funding, it unlocks capital trapped in Nostro accounts, and it settles between any currencies in seconds. And it handles liquidity across multiple chains, markets, and banking networks. And it scales with global volume, not with a peg. So while stablecoins tokenize money, XRP becomes a liquidity layer that moves all tokenized money. And that's why XRP ceiling is not $1 or $10. It's the market cap of a global settlement asset that scales with institutional flows. Coin is a store of value, but XRP is the infrastructure value, the asset the entire financial rails will rely on. One holds value, one moves the world's value. And that's exactly how XRP will flip Bitcoin, not through hype, but through function. One is designed for stability. The other is designed for scalability. And last up, is XRP getting ready to decouple from Bitcoin and ETH, just like gold did from the rest of the market? This isn't just another crypto. It's built for a global shift in liquidity.
But now we're seeing the trend of gold no longer reflecting monetary policy anymore. Mm-hmm. Basically, its purpose is, again, acknowledged in a different way as a store of value, more of an intrinsic value in its role in the broader financial landscape. And I think XRP gradually will undergo some similar shift where it will decouple from Bitcoin, where it will decouple from the rest of the market, because its recognition, like gold, is going to be independent from something that is speculative to these cycles.
Well, that's what I have for you folks. Until next time, stay savvy, stay stacking, and I'll catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and comment down below. And if you want more crypto deep dives, check out our videos right here on Crypto Meets AI. Thank you for watching. Remember to always do your own research. This is not financial advice.